Nothing I've seen out of JJ is anything that more special than what I saw out of Cade McNamara. If he was ready and you were willing to bench him, then don't baby him along. You got to let these wide receivers, who you told me were that good, Ron Bellamy, Coach Harbaugh, you told me they were that good. Well, you got to show us. You got to let those dogs eat because they're waiting.
You went out on a limb and said JJ is going to be the best.
I still think that, by the way.
Why?
Because I think he's as talented a Michigan quarterback as we've ever seen. Braylon, Michigan, Penn State. This is, and we talked to Brady about it. Look, this is a 2-game schedule, and I know Michigan State, anything can happen in a rivalry game.
Illinois is playing good.
Yeah, Illinois, but you're playing them at home, and I'd like to believe if you have national championship aspirations, which I believe any team, I believe about 8 teams could win the national championship this year. 6 to 8 teams have a chance, legit shot to win the national championship this year.
I hope you're right.
And I don't think that's been the case. I think Michigan's one of those teams. This is one of those games you're just going to find out a lot more about Michigan. They have not had to play anybody yet, and it's week 7.
They haven't had to play anybody yet, and that's been people's complaint about Michigan. They can kiss my ass, but that is a legitimate complaint when you start having aspirations of winning the national championship. When you start having aspirations of winning it all, you want to see something. I know his completion rate, and when you say completion rate, you're talking about J.J. McCarthy. I know it's 78%. I know he's leading the nation. I know he's 1,100 yards. Hasn't rushed the ball much like you thought he would with the little limited time that he had last year. I think he was at 500 yards rush, or 500 yards passing, but 124 yards rushing on limited attempts. I need to see it. Like, if I'm being honest, Ryan Ermanni, I need to see it. I understand.
Well, you want to see it for sure, absolutely.
No, you need to see it. Like, you need to see it. Now, defense is going to do what they do. They'll be able to hold up. They'll play an ugly game, but keep Sean Clifford in the box. That'll be good for them. But on the offensive side, I'm just talking about J.J. McCarthy. People talked about early on in the year, this guy has a chance to be special. Some people think he has a chance to beat the single-season record at Michigan, which you and I talked about, which he should, which he does. But I got to start to see it. I got to start to see passes that aren't just to the tight ends, and tight ends get extra yards. Not just giving little dump passes to Roman Wilson over the middle, and Roman Wilson goes for 56. I got to see him get the ball down the field. I understand the weather might be a part of that, and maybe the game plan had changed, but that's why you have Donovan Edwards. That's why you have Blake Corum third in the nation in rushing. But I got to see something out of JJ, because what I've seen so far, nothing I've seen out of JJ is anything that more special than what I saw out of Cade McNamara. Like, if I'm being honest, we went to JJ for the special plays. We went to JJ to look special, to look like we could compete with Ohio State again, to look like we can compete with Alabama and Georgia. I just haven't seen it yet. And I know he's missed some throws. I know his shoulder was bothering him. That's why, and he had surgery. He missed spring ball. It takes time to develop chemistry with wide receivers, and you have wide receivers. But I need to see him utilize those wide receivers, and I need Michigan to allow him to utilize those wide receivers. Don't tell me in preseason that this wide receiver core could be the best wide receiver core since Steve Breston, Jason Avant, Braylon Edwards, Mario Manningham, whoever was on that squad, whichever year you're talking about. Don't tell me that they could be this, but you don't give them an opportunity to. You got to get Andrew Anthony an opportunity to get down the field on this Penn State team. You got to give Roman Wilson, who's playing this week, a chance to get over the middle. Ronnie Bell was wide receiver 1 coming into the season. We saw what we saw to Ronnie Bell in the one game, the limited action he had last year. You got to allow those guys to be dogs. If you want to beat Penn State, if you want to beat Ohio State, if you want to roll Michigan State next week, you got to let these wide receivers, who you told me were that good, Ron Bellamy, Coach Harbaugh, you told me they were that good. Well, you got to show us. You got to let those dogs eat, because they're waiting. Clemens, Baldwin, whether it's Andrell, whether it's Roman, whether it's Bell, they're chomping at the bit. You got to take the leash off and let those boys fly.
Hey, I'm a little worried about this game, and I know you guys aren't. I am. I think Penn State is a solid number 10 team in the country. I think they gave Michigan all they wanted last year, although it was in Penn State. It was up in the Nittany Mountains. But I haven't seen it either from JJ. And I'm hoping, like I said earlier in the week, that Jim is keeping this a pretty vanilla offense right now and trying to wait till towards the end of the year. You got 6 games left, whatever it is. Maybe save it for the big dogs. This is a big dog. You got to let some of it out this week. I just want to throw something out at you guys. Let's say JJ struggles again, and he struggles and Michigan's down. Do you think there's a chance that he would put Cade in?
0.
Absolutely not. Absolutely, and he shouldn't. Absolutely not. Those are the type of decisions that have people second guess if they should have allowed you to go to Minnesota. Those aren't the type of decisions you make. We're knee deep in the strum now, so you don't make a decision like that. Man, as I understand, you say they're waiting. They're vanilla, but no team in the country is waiting. Is Stetson Bennett, were they waiting in Georgia for Stetson Bennett to throw for 384 the first game of the week? I mean, the first game of the year? Was
Second-year starter, though.
You said what?
Second-year starter.
Understood, but nobody ever said Stetson Bennett was that guy. Nobody ever said Stetson Bennett is the man. I'm talking about a team. You don't just wait, because if you don't have that bag to go to, and we talked about this before the show, you said, well, they're waiting. They're building him.
I think that's an argument out there. I don't believe that.
Exactly, but that's what I'm telling. If you were listening, I'm telling Maz.
I'm listening.
I'm telling Maz I disagree with that. That's all I was saying.
Yeah.
If they're not waiting, then I don't think they got the goods.
And that's what I'm saying. You don't wait. Like, what are you waiting for? No team in the country is waiting. Now, last year, they did do some different things late in the year, but you're talking about 4 plays. You're talking about the play to Eric All against Penn State. That was a nuanced play that they set up. You're talking about the reverse pass from Donovan Edwards. That was a play that they set up. You're talking about 3 or 4 plays. I'm talking about getting the ball down the field to the vertical passing game like Brady talked about, to Andrew. I'm talking about letting JJ take over, like letting him act. You know you got Blake Corum. You know you'll be able to run the ball early on in the year. If you haven't shown that you can do it, sometimes it's hard to just go to the bag and say, hey, you know what, it'll be there. Don't worry. When we're desperate against Ohio State, we'll be able to dig in this bag and pull out a 65-yard passing play. If you haven't thrown one, how the hell are you going to pull it out the bag?
2 elements I'd like to see tomorrow in this game. One is I would like to see a lot more read option plays with JJ. Use his legs. Use how good the Michigan running game has been with Blake Corum. Use that to your advantage. Let those ends crash down and have JJ go around the outside. And the other player I'd like to see, Braylon, you bring him up all the time. I'd like to see Andrel Anthony a lot more, because we see Ronnie Bell, we see Roman Wilson. They're out there. I think this offense could be deadly if you just add that third wide receiver to this offense. Now, the tight end position, and it's been Schoonmaker this year. That tight end,
Eric All is suffering from injury.
Yeah, because Eric All's been injured. Schoonmaker's been that third option, essentially, because Ronnie Bell seems like a possession guy. Roman Wilson seems like a deep guy. But I think if you can get Andrel Anthony involved, you've seen what he can do with the football if you get him the football. They're going to be concentrating on Blake Corum. They're going to be concentrating on Ronnie Bell. They're going to be concentrating on Roman Wilson down the field. If you can use Anthony in that slot, moving him, working the middle of the field, I think you will be deadly. That is a player I'd like them to be able to use, because they're going to need him moving forward. You can't just have 2 guys. You're too predictable in that case. You need that third wide receiver. Now, the third element has been the tight end. I think you need that third wide receiver, and Andrel Anthony can be that guy this week and against Ohio State when you absolutely need him.
If you told me what you did, that J.J. McCarthy was better than Cade McNamara,
I believe that.
No, not you. I'm saying they, by starting. I'm talking about Jim Harbaugh. I'm talking about offensive coordinator. You told me that J.J. was better than Cade because you started him. You told me J.J. was special. You told me J.J. was electric. You said that he could do things that Cade can't. Well, let him do them. Let him do them. Don't let him throw one overthrow on a pass and then go away from the deep throws the rest of the game. Don't not go to the RPO step back throw passes like Ryan said. Don't put the ball in Blake Corum's chest and not have the ability to pull it out and look for the tight ends or look downfield. Listen, you trusted in this guy. You benched the guy that got you to the playoffs last year. I repeat, you benched a guy that got you to the college football playoffs last year because you said that this guy was ready. You said that this was the guy. If he was ready and you were willing to bench him, then don't baby him along. You got to throw him in the fire and see what you got.
I just watched the video earlier today. Today is one of the anniversary days. A lot of baseball history. But Mario Manningham catching that game winner against Penn State, and Chad Henne threw it to him.
Final play of the game, 2005.
Yeah. Chad Henne threw it to him. And there have been a lot of really good Michigan quarterbacks here, including Jim Harbaugh. You went out on a limb and said J.J. is going to be the best.
I still think that, by the way.
Why?
Because I think he's as talented a Michigan quarterback as we've ever seen. Pure talent.
I haven't seen it yet.
Well, I'm just telling you. I think
he's played bad competition and I still haven't seen it.
Take the training wheels off. We're gonna get.
He's also played with two offensive coordinators that nobody necessarily wanted, that didn't have any necessary offensive coaching problems.
You might be right with your guy.
Conversation on Monday. Can you watch a kid play a team first?
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for it.
I know you are.
But I get what Matt said.
I hope you're right.
I get what Matt said.
I understand it.
I get what Matt said. You play less inferior. You play inferior teams. You should see some stats that are a representation of that. I understand what Matt said.
Including last week against Indiana, where he could have really put his name out there, and I didn't see crap.
What did I say before the season started? If Michigan doesn't score 40 points a game on offense, it's on them. They're the reason Michigan is the reason they're not scoring 40 points a game.
I was looking at something, and I don't know what I did with the stats. I think here it is right here. I thought this was wrong. Like I literally looked this up, and I thought this was wrong. How many games have been played, fellas? 6. What were we so excited about with J.J. McCarthy last year? We were excited about the ability that not only can he pass, what else could he do?
Run.
6 games, he has 90 yards rushing.
What I tell you, that's the 2 things I'd like to see.
6 games, 90 yards.
I know
That's not enough.
It's not enough. It's not enough at all.
I don't need him to have 5,000 yards, but I need to see more than that.
Totally agree with you.